We'll start things off with Dan.
Be nice if I remembered to unmute myself. Coach, good to see you. This spring and just some of the things with special teams. I know that the kicking game kind of came a long way last year in a short amount of time. But for you, what have been your observations through the spring of the different stable of specialists and how have they advanced?
I appreciate it, Dan. Good question. I think that in the spring, big approach that we have is we kind of want to make sure that we're getting our work in. We're using this time to get better from the specialist standpoint, working on our operation, working on some different things that we might be trying to work on, specifically resulted in whether it's field goal or whether it's punt or kickoff. And then on the other side of things is just from a special team standpoint, usually springs are not as much scheme oriented as it is fundamentals, putting the whole part whole and really working on the part side of things to get better and try to get younger guys along. And I think that what we did and what we were able to accomplish, I think we have guys that now are in the second year of a system of the verbiage, of the techniques. And you can really see some of these guys that are starting to master some of the techniques that we use on special teams on a daily basis. And, gives these guys, the young guys, especially some younger guys that just got here, a chance to get a head start before fall camp on some of those techniques. But, from the specialist standpoint, I think the guys, it's always great to have multiple guys returning. Our whole unit is pretty much almost back. So we have a variety of guys that have a lot of different talents that it's a joy to coach those guys every day. And now that I've been with them a year, we can look at what they really do exceptionally well and things they may need to work on. And we take that time to work on those small little things.
We'll go next to Andy.
You mentioned some of the younger guys developing in spring. Connor got a lot of action in that spring game, made a couple kicks. What have you seen from him in his development, and what was that like for him to get on the field, be an alumni, and knock through a couple kicks?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I think that that was a big day for him, and more than some other guys is because of COVID, some of these guys that came mid-year didn't even get to play a senior year. So for a guy like Connor to go out and actually perform his skill craft in front of, now it wasn't a game, but it's still, you're competing in front of a national television audience and people are watching, and he hasn't had that moment for about a year and a half. And I think that was really important and big for him. I think it was good for him to get back into the groove of having a football season, training with us. And I thought he had a great spring. I think that, he's done very well. He handles himself very well. He's very professional. He works his tail off. And he wants to be good. So from that standpoint, very pleased with how his spring went.
We'll go next to Rich.
The gunner position on punt coverage is kind of an unappreciated skill. What do you look for when you put a guy outside to get down the field and make a tackle or force a fair catch?
Sure. I think that first and foremost, I think a guy has to have a wide variety of skills because given the situation, given the formation, the game plan, that person may have to block too. So with that being said, based on the game plan, you kind of see, does that guy need to block or not this week or at all? You have to have great release skills, great speed to get down the field, and really a great feel from going from speed to power, where you're running from a speed position, pretty much coming down potentially to a power position to make a guy either make a guy go one way or the other, or hopefully make a tackle off the way. And I do think that some of our guys last year did a really good job. We had one forced fumble on as a gunner on our punt team. And I think that our guys, kind of got a hold of the releases. And, we have Coach Daly, coaches that help coach the gunners on our punt team and stuff, and having a guy that works with the receivers with the releases every single day. And that's one of the main things that we look for, is being able to get a good release, getting down the field. I think that's something that, using the techniques he uses on a daily basis, translating that over to special teams and then putting it together helps the relationship, going into that gunner position.
We'll go next to Trevor.
Hey, so Jeff mentioned how Max Richardson could potentially thrive in a special teams role in addition to his defensive role in the NFL. I'm just curious what your assessment is there and just how you could see that translating.
Absolutely. I think attention to detail in special teams, especially at the next level, is even more and more important. And Max is one of the most detailed guys, very professional, handles himself the way, and every rep matters. I mean, every rep, he played some special teams for us last year, but every rep in practice that you guys didn't see, that kid goes a million miles an hour and tries, does everything right. And I would imagine going into that next level, having a guy that's going to buy into everything that you do it to the best of your ability. And obviously he's a very talented football player, makes that a very important decision for an organization to do. And he gives you that quality every single day on every single rep, and is going to try to perfect what is asked of him.
And we'll wrap things up today for Matt with Dan.
Coach, I asked Coach Halfley this about just recruiting in general, but I think the dead period's finally coming to a close, or it's coming up. And I don't know if anyone's asked anyone this over the last couple of weeks, but just what's the overall level of excitement, especially back home in your region where you do a lot of your work to be able to finally get these guys out here on campus.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like Christmas. I mean, it's like you get an opportunity to hopefully have the guys here on campus finally, which we really haven't had hardly any time to do as a staff since we've been here. We had a short window before this thing all closed. I think getting a chance for, more importantly, guys to get, I mean, we go through Zoom, we go through phone calls. I mean, we have relationships with a lot of kids, but more importantly, they have to come see it. And I think we are more than excited to show off who we are, what we're about, our culture of our program and this school, because there's so much to offer. And, in terms of getting back on the road, I think we're all excited to get back and see kids in the schools when that time comes. And I do think there's a great sense of excitement. I think there's a relief on the side of student athletes that they get a chance to interact with people when they come to campuses now, and that they're going to get, their fair shot at trying to make a decision that best fits them. And I think there's mutual excitement. I think it's not just in the regions I recruit. I think it's everywhere in the country. And I think it's going to be one heck of a summer. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Matt, thank you very much for all your time today. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great one.